Welcome to the Trailblazer FM podcast. This is your host, Lee. And on today's show, we have not just one, but two incredible guests. Hey to Zara and Aaron from Choppity. Guys, how are you doing today?
We're doing very well, thank you. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm feeling slightly outnumbered, but I'm ridiculously excited to talk to you guys. For the folks who haven't heard of either of you and of Choppity, could you give us a little bit of a brief bio of yourselves and also how Choppity got started and what it is? I guess would help.
Yeah, sure. I'm Zara, and this is Aaron. And
Mm,
we've been working on Choppity for just over 9 months now. I think we launched in January. And it's basically an AI video editor for podcasters to make marketing material from video podcasters
mhm.
specifically. Aaron and I both have a tech background. We met in uni. We got married last June. And yeah, I don't know what else to kind of add to that right now.
I think that covers it pretty well. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Could you let us know then how you guys actually started building? I mean, you said you've got a tech background, but what sort of background? Are you the programmers? Are you the project managers? Give us a little bit of an insight into how you're working on this.
Yeah, sure. So we first met at Durham Uni. Aaron was studying computer science. I was studying maths, and our first conversation ever was actually about like blockchain and AI and entrepreneurship. And basically, since we met, we've been working on projects together,
Yeah.
and we've always kind of wanted an alternative way of, I guess, supporting ourselves and of earning money that allowed for us to be creative and also allowed for us to be autonomous.
Hmm.
So that's how we started working on tech and projects together. So everything we build in house. Aaron is our tech guy, tech support,
Hmm.
and yeah,
And you keep Aaron in check.
yeah, I do.
Marketing? Do you do the
Oh,
marketing and stuff? Or
Yeah, I do the
yeah.
customer facing side of things and the marketing, and the talking to people when Aaron doesn't doesn't want to do it. But he's pretty good at it, actually for a
yeah.
tech guy.
I mean, I enjoy it a lot. I think one of the things that surprised me was customer support. I didn't
Mm,
think that would be so enjoyable, but actually, it's really
Mhm.
nice when you have customers coming to you and being like, "Oh, I really like this," or "This broke for me. Please, can you fix it? I really need this
mm,
to work." Because it really makes you feel like you're actually providing value to
Mhm.
somebody,
yeah.
actually helping them with their work, with their life. Because if they have an issue and they need it solved, it's probably quite important to them. And so it's nice to be able to, yeah, to do that.
Mm.
That's incredible. Now, AI seems to be absolutely everywhere, which is pretty cool. And you guys have definitely tapped into that with Choppity. We've been using it now for over a month and a half for the podcast in order to promote episodes. And how it's worked for us is we've essentially fed the YouTube channel to it. So we fed the YouTube
Mhm.
video when it's uploaded to YouTube. And then your AI actually goes through the script for us and then finds what it believes maybe potentially good quotes with some form of hook or some form of interesting story. It's been pretty good so far, and we've also added in our own, which has been good. How did you go? How did you go about building that without giving us the keys to the cupboard? Obviously, I understand you need to keep secrets, but how does that AI work in a kind of a simplistic way? How does it find that information?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So, like you said, one of the things that we do is we suggest these clips. But on
Hmm.
top of that, we also do other things like we detect faces and crop those to make sure that they stay centered, and all sorts of like a manner of AI things. And the nice thing about the fact that AI is everywhere is that
Hmm.
you don't really have to build all of it yourself. So we leverage a lot of kind of paid APIs and open source tech,
Hmm.
and kind of just bring it together as a really useful one-stop tool to do all of this work for you. And it's really just kind of making sure that it's as automated as possible and as flexible for the users. Again,
Yeah.
the likelihood is so even though we both studied computer science, there are a lot of people out there who are much smarter than us. And we know that that's the case. And so there's no point in really reinventing the wheel for us just yet.
Mhm.
At some point, we will, and we'll develop, I'm sure, some awesome groundbreaking features. But in terms of where we're at right now, we can provide a ton of value just by
Hmm.
leveraging what's already out there.
That's a really good point. I mean, about 15 years ago, we created a product for the events industry, and we called it Your Show. I've mentioned it a few times now on the podcast, and we went all in. We built it we did base it on WordPress. So we had like a beginning platform, but then we tried to build every single feature possible. We didn't use any third
Mm.
party applications, and we spent absolutely months, in fact, years, trying to build what we built was actually a beast that no one really used and no one
Mm.
really bought. So rather than leveraging what was out there, rather than going quickly to market and then evolving, we thought we needed to build perfection before we delivered. It sounds like what you guys are doing is you've built the MVP, you've leveraged the tech that's out there, and now you're taking it to market and you're hearing directly from the customer saying, hey, can you make this work, or can this work differently? And then you are evolving the product that way, which I think is a very smart strategy.
Yeah, well, I think that we've fallen into the exact same trap as you've fallen into on previous projects. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that very many first time founders also fall into that same trap of building something and being scared of not showing it to the public until it's perfect and perfecting it according to what you think people want as opposed to what you know and what you've been told that people want.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that we've carried through with us through our development of this project now.
No, that's awesome. Now, with regards to creating something like this, we create a lot of products in my agency, and I started to imagine how would I go around building Choppity when the amount of video content that you might have to deal with is going to be very different. So for some of the, for example, on our channel, some of my videos are talking heads. Some of them are interviews with one, two, or three people, or maybe even five if I've got a panel. Some of them are a mixture of B-roll and talking heads and interviews with other people. So there's a whole mishmash of content. How did you go about building something that would be able to deal with the whole myriad of different visuals? I mean, you did mention the face tracking, which is obviously a good option, but
Mhm.
how else did you go about it? Because I feel like my brain would have gotten that far. I would have had a brain fart, and the product would never have been built.
Sure. So I mean, I think one of the key things that we focused on was flexibility, and there's kind
Mhm.
of a fundamental trade-off between flexibility and complexity. So the more flexible something is, the more complex it is, and that's why you have video editing tools like Premiere Pro, etc., which are beasts of software, extremely capable. But there's very few people who know how to use them to their full extent, and even when they do, they have to Google stuff all of the time. However, when you are able to niche down and you say, actually, we are a tool for podcasters. That's it. We don't necessarily care about other people. It can technically be used by them as well, but the
Mhm.
focus is podcasters solely. And again, when we say podcast, we also mean these kind of interviews and talking heads, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. Speech driven video. It's much easier because there's just a subset that you can focus on and you can nail it, and that's what makes it easier. And again, I think one of the issues that often happens is that companies will diversify
Mhm.
and diversify too quickly, and then the tool becomes powerful but not specific to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really is the key thing. It's actually starting as specific as possible, doing one thing specifically well, and then expanding just a little bit around that, but not trying to serve everybody and not trying to serve every single use case. Really, just doing one thing well and starting there.
Now, one thing that stood out to me as a feature was the ability to actually edit all of the crops. So for us, we loaded our videos in. Your AI suggested some particular cuts which were good. It also actually did some of its own cropping and cutting as well, so it kind of switched between speakers, which was really cool. However, because of the way we've designed our videos, we've got like name badges here or there, and we've got
Mm.
different labels, so you could see them peeking in. And on other tools I've used, you can't edit that. You're just stuck with it. You either go with it or you take the AI suggestion and you edit yourself outside in a third party tool. I love that you can actually go for every single. You've got a timeline, and I can crop everywhere and make everything look exactly how I want. I can control the
Mm.
fonts colors. I can correct the text as well, which is something else that you can't do in certain tools.
Mm.
So there's a few things, at least from me, where I recognize you guys have definitely got an edge. But from yourselves, what do you think makes Choppity different from the myriad of competitors out there, and why should people choose you guys?
Yeah, so I'm really pleased that you flagged that up actually because that's one of the things that we consider to be our main differentiator and that we've been
Hmm.
wanting to make our main differentiator because when looking at the options that exist for the specific use case that we're talking about, which is turning podcast videos into short clips of marketing, The
Hmm.
options really are to hire a freelancer, which obviously isn't readily available to a lot of people, to use software like Premiere Pro or Descript, which are, incredibly powerful, incredibly sophisticated, give you lots of flexibility, but are very, very difficult to use,
Hmm.
or to use tools like, Opus, which will automatically do things for you. But then you don't really have any flexibility to make any changes or make any edits, which means that
Hmm.
if you end up paying for them to make 10 clips for you, if three of them are good, then what do you really do with the other seven? There's not very much that you can do. And so we've been keeping in mind the whole time that we want to leverage AI as much as possible to make the process as efficient as possible, but we still want to allow our users to have the
Yeah.
full flexibility of being able to essentially change what the AI does. So rather than AI does it for you, AI suggests it for you, and then you've
Yeah.
got essentially you don't have a blank canvas that you have to work from. You can work from a starting point.
That is really helpful. So for us, it usually suggests approximately seven. I think it's seven in most cases, different clips that we can use, but we can then edit that. We can select our own text. And the other cool thing is we can actually move things around. So there have actually been conversations. In fact, in the most recent one episode with Simon Penson, that was season 49, episode 7, folks, if you want to go listen to that. But he said something, and then I reiterated what he said afterwards, but it actually made more sense for me to switch that round, for me saying what I said first and then putting him on the end as kind of the tag, because he reinforced what I was saying. It actually worked better.
Mm.
So again, that was something we were able to do. So it does appear to me, and I know this now sounds like an advertorial, guys, it's really not, but I'm just really enjoying using Choppity, and I'm really impressed with it. And I do
Well, we
like those
appreciate
features.
that.
And I think it's been born from me using Opus and lots of other tools,
Mm.
and then never being able to use the content for two reasons. Number one is just the fact that it's inflexible. Here's your
Mhm.
10, job done, like it or lump it. And then the second thing was just that ability to actually even edit what was there. So we've
Mhm.
enjoyed it. Now, our experience has been pretty incredible. I thought you're a young startup at this point. I want to encourage you guys. I mean, this podcast has been around for a long time. We have a really healthy podcast listenership, which is wonderful, but our social media is pretty poor, mainly because it's me and one other person. So we don't post much on social media. We've got a fairly good following, but they're not really that well engaged. We've got a little YouTube channel that we've kind of experimented with over the years, and now we're really starting to push our episodes out, etc. So being able to use something like Choppity has been great for us. We've seen this massive uptick, especially on Instagram and over on YouTube, of people actually watching our shorts or watching our reels. So, for example, our reels on Instagram have gone from kind of 30, 40 views,
Mhm.
and then kind of becoming extinct, to seeing some of our reels getting, say, 2,000, 3,000 views,
Mhm.
or at the moment, we're at least on the most recent episodes, we're getting an average, I would say, of about 200 or 300 views on our reels, which is good. And we're seeing an uptick engagement as well. So people are actually liking and or
Mhm.
commenting, which, in fact, our most recent one has got 10 likes and one comment, which may not sound a lot to people, but that is like 100%. I can't do maths. um, it's a lot more than we've ever had, so I'm
Well,
extremely happy, which is great. And then also with the shorts, we were able to get our watch time over the mark as well with YouTube,
Mm.
because people were watching those, and we're getting quite a lot of views on our shorts as well, because a lot of people, they love the long form content. They'll listen to the
Mhm.
podcast when they have time, etc. But sometimes just being able to give them those little nuggets, which
Mm.
they'll watch and bookmark, etc., has been great. Now we have also started a TikTok for literally the just to test. I don't do
Mhm.
TikTok necessarily, so I'm typing it in. I didn't even think I'd mention this, but let's have a look. Will it let me even see it? I have to be. Do I have to be logged in? I'll send you the stats later. But we started a TikTok, and literally all we're doing is posting Choppity videos to it. So
Cool.
I'll let you know I'll let you know, guys, in the show notes what the stats for that was as well. And if you're not following us on TikTok, I'm cool. We're on TikTok, and I don't dance, but we do put these videos up there. So we'll share a link as well. in the show notes. So I've kind of shared there a whole lot of use cases for me as a podcaster, which is great. And a lot of the people who listen to my show are agency owners, so they deal with clients who have websites and clients who want to create content. A lot of our listeners have therefore started supporting them with their social media marketing. How can agencies leverage Choppity in order to add value to their clients and also, add another revenue stream?
Yeah, so we have quite a few agencies using Choppity at the moment. One of the big things is the brand kits feature,
Hmm.
which basically just allows for agencies who have multiple different clients to save their clients' branding as kits that they can then
Hmm.
reapply very quickly and very easily. It massively has sped up the workflow of quite a few of the people who work for us. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but we
Sure.
hear the figures and we're like, whoa, like this is great. But not just that, also, so we just went to the podcast show recently
Hmm.
in May, I think it was. And one of the really interesting thing that's happening right now in the podcasting world is that so you have a lot of these agencies that have been established and that have been working for quite a while, and they're very, very good audio first
Hmm.
engineers. And people who are now wanting to start podcasts are wanting to start video podcasts. And so a lot of these agencies, even though they're very skilled and very good at handling audio podcasts, are having to
Hmm.
retrain their audio engineers to be able to work with video. And that's proving to be quite a difficult process because of the tools that they're having to use, which are things like Premiere Pro. Again,
Yeah.
not bashing Premiere Pro, like it's a very, very good tool. It's just super complex, especially if you're not used to using it. And so that's where we see Choppity bringing a lot of value, actually, which is that it's super simple and super easy to use. That really, I mean, my mom's been able to use it, and that she's not exactly someone who's tech savvy.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
So
we've
everything's.
had, yeah. Another thing I'd add is that we've had some people use it in use cases that we don't necessarily
Mm,
expect. So
Oh,
one of our
do
customers
tell.
um, has well is working with like TED Talk type
Hmm.
mhm,
content. So people walking on a stage and talking, and they've been using it for that, and it works just the same.
Wow.
Well, or we've got people shooting real estate videos where they're just talking about stuff and why you should invest in
yeah.
X, Y, Z.
We have a law firm as well, actually,
Yeah,
making
all
like
sorts.
little info TikToks.
Sounds riveting. Although, actually, there are some pretty good law TikToks out there, isn't there? A bit more animated than I would be about law, but that's cool.
I'm
So
sure.
really, then, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? So you've developed a product that is clearly for one particular niche. That is for podcasters on
Mhm,
interview-led content. So, for example, this content would be perfect for me
mhm,
to load into Choppity. So, by focusing on that, you've accidentally created something that is actually more powerful than you intended, because there are use cases beyond what you realized. People can use
Mm,
it for real estate. Sounds like event
mhm,
organizers are going to be able to use this as well. So
mhm,
you've created something, therefore, that is ridiculously flexible. And uh, the agencies that are listening, if anyone actually wants to use Choppity, like I said, this is not an advert. I don't have an affiliate link. I gain nothing from telling you to go and use this. But if you want to go and explore, it sounds like there may be some great use cases for you as an agency to add value to your existing clients' content, or even your own if you are
mhm.
a content marketer. Do you have any other stories of weird and wonderful ways that people are using the
mm.
product?
I do actually. So another one that we had was so where we went to university is Durham University, and we were
Yeah.
talking to somebody who was affiliated with the council actually. So
Mm,
you can imagine it's kind of government, and we're like, well, we were just talking with them, didn't see
Yeah.
how we could be useful at all. And so because when you edit something in Choppity, we add captions, we add those kind of TikTok animated style captions. But
Mm,
you can also do what I would call BBC captions, very much so standard captions.
mm,
And actually, they said, well, the issue for us is that we have to add captions for accessibility.
yeah.
Because for anybody who is viewing our video content who is hard of hearing, they need to be able to read and understand what's going on, especially when you're talking about council level
Mm.
content. And so that was a really interesting one to hear.
mhm,
That really I didn't think it. I guess I couldn't have guessed that it would be useful for that,
mhm.
but yeah, apparently so.
The other one was comedians. So we have
Right.
a client right now who has a client that's a kind of a comedian like stand-up
Yeah.
platform where there's a bunch of video of stand-up comedians, and so they're making promotional content for that. And so they've actually been making really good use of our cropping feature,
Yeah.
again tracking features, tracking the speakers walking on stage with the kind of smooth animation. And yeah.
So if you were to look at what I watch on Instagram, it's predominantly stand-up speakers. So I have probably watched your clients' content at some point. I follow all sorts of comedians.
Yeah, but it is actually always nice when we see when you're just kind of scrolling through our own feeds, and obviously we follow a lot of our customers, but it's nice to be like, oh yeah, I know that was made with our software, because we recognize it, and it's always nice to have those moments.
So you can tell I'm a fan, and I'd love a little bit of a sneak peek of what you might have coming up for the application.
Yeah, sure. So obviously we don't want to give away all of our trade secrets, but
Sure
we
thing.
have some ideas in mind. So specifically when it comes to captions. So
Hmm.
again, if you've ever tried to edit those yourselves in like a Premiere Pro, it's a pain because you basically have to edit it word by word. And
Hmm.
we have come up with a way where we could essentially just be way more flexible, but still automated. So you could have incredibly like animated, like super cool animations where maybe you say the word boom or wow or love, and then
Oh,
those words
nice.
get
Yeah.
kind of like highlighted and like jiggle about the page and like animate, or
Yeah.
I don't know, you say money and you've got money falling down from the for animated. Like there's all sorts of these things that we can do, and again
Yeah.
automate that so that even if you're just a person who has no idea how to edit video, you can still create ridiculously high quality content. And then let's say you
Hmm.
are a person who knows how to edit video, you can do it 100 times faster than you would otherwise,
Absolutely.
if that makes sense.
So, well, I mean, for us, when we've done that, we literally have to. Well, I mean, we use Filmora. We don't use Premiere Pro because that's just way too complicated for us. But yeah, Filmora is good enough, but it takes a long time to create video content like that. Now, you said that you guys are relatively new. This is a new company. It's a new venture. There are also a lot of business owners right now who are in the early stages of developing their business. What sort of advice would you share with them as they're getting started?
Talk to your customers every day. Talk to them as often as possible. Don't build unless you're being paid to build
Hmm.
something. Is another thing that I would say. I think a lot of people, as people in the tech industry, a lot of people who have kind of startup ideas come to us, and they often straight away are asking us, "Oh, how much would it cost to build this?" And we're in a fortunate position where we can build things very quickly, but we are still trying so hard not to build unless we
Mm.
know that someone is going to pay us for it. So, generally speaking, if you want to build a platform or do anything, start with a Facebook group, start with a Calendly link, see if people will
Hmm.
pay you for that, and then get to actually building if you're sure that you can actually monetize it. Mhm.
Best advice ever. Validate before the build. And
Exactly.
if you've got someone who I get this all the time, oh, could you design us a website, mate? I'm like, well, if you've got the money, I will. But creds, I can't. What was it? What that you can't spend? What is it? You can't
Right.
spend likes. I can't spend
Yeah,
likes
yeah.
or whatever. It's just because you got a big following. I actually need money. They
Mhm.
don't accept likes at the bank. So that's really valuable advice. Well, guys, thanks so much for your time. In kind of a weird twist, this video will be loaded into Choppity later, and people will be able to enjoy the content that will be going out on social media, which is awesome. But before we go, could you let us know the best way for people to connect with you if they've got any questions, and then we'll say goodbye.
So the easiest way to reach us is to go to choppity.com/contact. And there you can see both of our email addresses, and you've also got links to our LinkedIn profiles as well.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize we literally reply to every single email, every single LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're interested in buying or you're just like, oh, this is cool, or
Mm.
you just want to say I hate it. That's fine. Also, we'll reply to that too. That's okay. But
Oh,
yeah, we really appreciate it every time somebody reaches out and talks to us.
that's awesome. Well, guys, thanks again for your time. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to speaking to you soon when you've released the amazing Batman sounding features. Take care, folks. Cheerio.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, Lee.